Welcome everyone to the Write or Die Show. I'm your host, Randi-lee. On today's episode, we have two topics that we're going to be covering with the amazing guest, Kathrin Hutson. So she's going to be sharing with us some things about ADHD and some things about addiction. So thank you so much for being on the show. Welcome, Kathrin, for being on the show. I'm so excited to have you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Randy.
All right, so we are going to start with the easiest question out there, although I tend to think it's the hardest one, but tell us about you.
About me? Oh my gosh, I could go on forever.
The short version.
The short version, I'm an international best-selling author of dark fantasy, urban fantasy, and sci-fi. I live in Colorado with my husband and our 4-year-old daughter. We also have 2 dogs.
Hold on. What kind of dogs? What kind of dogs? This is important.
Sadie is a pit bull mastiff mix. We think. We don't even know how old she is. We don't even she was a rescue, and we know nothing. And Bruce Willis is half German Shepherd Black Lab and half albino gator pit. So.
All right, now you can continue. Sorry. When there's puppies involved, we have to have
they're there. Let's see. Yeah, we're in Colorado. I write full time, so it's not a 9-to-5 job or a 40-hour-week job. It's a bit more than that, but yes, I write my own fiction and I ghostwrite fiction as well, and so that is my full-time job. My husband's a stay-at-home dad. And we have lived in 4 different states in the last, oh my gosh, how long has it been? 8 years. Yeah. So we moved around a lot. And there you go. There's a short version.
Excellent. So when did you start writing?
I started writing when I was 10. And
wow.
It's the same time that my parents got divorced. The same time, pretty much as far back as I can remember from my childhood. So I came alive at 10, and writing happened to be a part of it.
Awesome. That is so exciting. And what inspires writing? Because you write some pretty interesting types of stories.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Most of the inspiration that I draw from is from my own life. The experiences that I've been through. So I write a lot of very, very, very dark things. It's pretty much across the board. My brand is very dark. There's always hope in there, though.
Because, good. Gotta have some hope.
Yes, a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't always work out the way really anyone wants it to, including me. But fine. So I draw on a lot of my own past experiences, and I like to focus more on creating real, raw, in-depth, fully fleshed out characters
good.
that are relatable to everyone, even if the majority of people have not found themselves in these situations.
No, I suppose not.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right, so now we're going to jump down that rabbit hole of the main topic of our show.
All right.
Mental health. So first, tell us what kind of mental health we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, I'll put them out there, and you can zero in on one or the other.
We're gonna
doesn't matter. So I do have ADHD, and I was diagnosed with that and started treatment with medication when I was 23. It's been a while. I don't even remember what year. And I also am a recovering heroin addict. So drug addiction is also considered, disease and mental illness, and it isn't just when you're using either. So I've been clean for almost 11 years now.
Wow, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to start with ADHD, and we'll see how far we get. Might have to come back on the show to talk about the other stuff, but let's start in one spot. So you said 23. That's fairly late for a diagnosis.
It is, yeah. And I think I probably started, I don't even know how late in high school is either, but probably started at the end of high school. And, at that point I was just so done with like everything about high school. I wasn't paying attention to anything.
Yep.
And then I started, using immediately after high school and went through that whole thing. So I had been 3 years clean by the time I even learned to make the connections that this was a possibility and something that would be contributing to what I was going through. So that's when I really, things started getting very frustrating and difficult when I was 23. And someone had in passing told me like, hey, maybe you should go like talk to someone about this because this sounds like ADHD and it could be whatever. And that was what it was. So.
Oh, well, that's good that somebody was there to be able to say, hey, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. It was helpful.
So what kind of things were you struggling with then?
The biggest thing at that point was that I could not turn my brain off, and not like, going to sleep, but the one thing would lead to the next, to the next, to the next, and I could never get anything done. So I wasn't married to my husband at the time, but we were living together. And I was working food and bev, and I would come home and just be immediately like bombarded with all the things that had to get done. And so I would try to do these things, and I would never get anything done because I kept skipping from one thing to the next. Yeah. And it got really bad when I started having like almost daily panic attacks because of it. I couldn't handle not being able to control my environment that way.
Yep. Then that's a whole other issue in and of itself at times.
Yeah, definitely. And I still struggle with panic attacks now, but I'm a lot better at focusing when I remind myself that it's time to focus.
Hey, that's helpful. That's basically what I spend my day when I'm not writing or not doing interviews. My youngest has autism and ADHD, and I spend the day going, all right, let's get back on track of the schoolwork.
Right. Just remember.
5 minutes went by. Let's get back on track in the school.
Right.
Yeah. I need to just record myself saying that, and I just hit play.
Loop it, right?
Yeah.
Your kid might not even know that it's not you saying it, right?
I don't think he would even notice. Seriously.
How old is he?
14.
Yeah. Wow.
I had my baby young.
Wow, good for you. Yeah, I was gonna say like maybe as old as my kid, like 5 or 6, 8, maybe, but
no.
That's awesome.
It's good though, because now I also have a grandbaby, and babies are exhausting.
Oh yeah, you forget.
Oh my goodness. I do. I was like, wow. How do people have babies in their 30s? I'm exhausted.
I know. And that was the thing too, like my sister-in-law and my brother had a baby a while ago, but my sister-in-law just had a baby, and she's older than me, and I'm already in my 30s, and I'm thinking like there's no way I could have done this in my 30s at all.
Yeah.
Like and it wasn't even that long ago for me.
It's all right, back on track. I'm bad too.
Sorry.
I get off track all the time, but that's what makes it a little more interesting. Brings a little more flair. Character.
Excellent.
All right, so what kind of coping skills do you use to stay on task?
Yes, I am a huge fan of lists, which
me too.
Yes, they work really well when I remember to refer to them. But I write down the same list pretty much every day. There will be differences in terms of what I need to get done during the day, but if I didn't get something done the days before, it will stay on the list, and I just always have that over and over and over until it finally gets crossed off. And then when I'm working during the day, because I'm writing all day long, I set timers on my phone to go off at certain minutes so that I remember to take breaks. And then I also set timers to remind myself to get back into my chair at my computer and start again. So
very smart.
Yeah, thank you. It's been probably since I started realizing I needed this kind of structure. It's been about 2 years that I've been doing this.
Okay, good.
You find what works,
So. Exactly. Those are 2 really awesome tips. for people.
Good. I'm glad. Happy to share them.
And when I was reading your pre-interview questions, I saw that you mentioned headphones.
Yes, these.
So tell us how
Thank you.
helpful
Yeah.
those are.
Yeah, reminding me about those. So, when I was in high school, that's when I really started hitting the ground running with writing. That's when I finished my first novels and wrote a bunch of short stories. Decided I wanted to go to college for that. I used to be able to sit in a public space, at a park or Barnes and Noble or a coffee shop or the library, like anywhere with other people. And I could just sit down and write. I would have headphones in. I remember I really miss the days when I could listen to Metallica albums as I was writing because I could drown out the lyrics, but I just love the music. And now I can't write in public spaces because anything that moves distracts me, and I also have really bad social anxiety, like when I'm trying to do something that's just me. So I don't do that anymore, but now I wear my headphones at home when I'm writing. I have a home office. And I wear those all day long and play music in them all day long, so I don't hear the dogs barking and car doors opening outside, birds, my daughter, my husband, the dogs. Like there's always something.
Everything. Oh,
yeah, everything. Even if I can hear the fan from the bathroom downstairs, it's like a big deal. So I put in the headphones, turn the music up loud enough that I can't hear myself typing. And then I just zone in, and that really helps so much. Otherwise, that's a big, huge help. And
I agree. That's my thing too.
Good.
Yeah. We're very similar. I love lists. I got the big whiteboard with all my lists on it.
Nice.
Then I have also my mini lists. I have maybe too many lists. And then headphones. I actually got these. So I have Bluetooth ones when I'm out like walking my dogs. But when I'm sitting at my computer, I don't know what it is, but I love to have the plug into the computer ones. I think it's it tells my brain it's time to work.
Yeah, to sit down and plug in and that makes sense. You can't get up and go somewhere else.
Exactly. I think that's what it is. Because if I have the ability to get up and walk somewhere, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go somewhere.
Right.
So that's my thing. And I do the same thing. I turn it up pretty loud, not Metallica. I love the Panic at the Disco playlist on Spotify. I don't know who made it. It just popped up on my thing the one day, and I said, "Oh, I like that," and I clicked it.
Nice.
That's my go-to now. Do you have a certain go-to playlist?
I have different playlists depending on what genre of project I'm working on.
Ooh, cool.
One of them I'm listening to a lot right now is Lindsey Sterling playlist. So just a bunch of rock violin and covers, but there are no lyrics on the ones that I have. So
perfect.
Yeah, that is my big. Yeah, I can't listen to lyrics anymore, which is awful. Otherwise, I would listen to so many more things. But I found epic movie soundtrack playlists. So they do the job.
You like that big sounding music, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, everything I write is so
it's true.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, because I know that you told us what genres you write, but tell us a couple of things that you've written.
A couple of things I've written.
I've written a lot, so just a couple.
Yeah, there's a lot, just a couple. Most recently, I have the first 3 books out in my urban fantasy series. It's Accessory to Magic. This is The Witching Vault, The Cursed Fae, and The Secret Coin. This is dark urban fantasy action. I mean, it has some of everything in it too. It's lots of adventure and action, and there's little murder mystery and a lot of humor, which putting those 2 together makes it like a really fun project. And these books are my little elevator pitch for the series is that an apprentice witch with a criminal past inherits a magical bank that can think for itself, and the clientele are almost as dangerous as what's inside their safety deposit boxes.
Dum dum dum.
Yeah, and it just gets crazier and crazier from there.
I love it. And I love the cover photo for it.
Oh, thank you.
You sent that along. I was like, this looks very cool.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anything that you want to tell somebody who's maybe not even diagnosed yet with ADHD, but maybe they have an inkling that something is a little different. They can't focus and stuff like that. What would you tell them?
Yeah. Well, if someone who is kind of on the fence and wondering what's going on, I would say the same thing that was told to me that got me to go. Say, just go speak to someone, if you can, and like figure out how to understand what it is that's going on. And it's a big relief to find out that like there's a reason for feeling these certain things. And I beat up on myself a lot because I thought that I should have been able to handle all the things. So that's what I would say. I would say go talk to someone and see what your options are, and to take it easy on yourself. I didn't do that for a long time, and so no matter what your circumstance is or what it is that you're going through, there's nothing wrong with you. So go easy on yourself.
That is a really good point. I think a lot of times we think there is something wrong. We're broken. That was my big thing. And I write about that a lot in my newer book, which is just like, I'm broken, I'm weak. But like you said, we're not. So
no, not at all. Yeah.
We're all just a little bit different.
And I would rather have that than all being the same.
Exactly. All right. So you said that you had some heroin addiction, and it was 11 years clean now, right? I remember that right?
Yeah, good work.
I have a bad memory. So tell us a little bit about that journey to getting to recovery.
Oh, how to squeeze that into
I know, I'm sorry, but you can come back on the show and share more at another time.
Perfect. Sounds good. So I was going to college at the time, and I went to CU Boulder here in Colorado for creative writing fiction. That was my major. And I had my whole plan mapped out. I was going to get my PhD and teach at the collegiate level. But then I found heroin, and that was helped me cope with a lot of things that actually looking back on it probably had to do with starting to develop, I guess, like symptoms of ADHD as well, and a lot of anxiety and a lot of dealing with life. I am not saying that is the way to handle it. It's not. Just for anyone who's watching.
I love that disclaimer.
Excellent. Thank you. And so, then it got pretty bad. And so I got really, really sick. And finally agreed to go to rehab. I didn't actually get clean until 5 months after rehab because I, at the time, just didn't want to stop. And then I was arrested 5 months after rehab and charged with felony possession of a Schedule I narcotic. And I know, I got jail time. I got a whole drug court, it's like a legal rehabilitation program. You're not like at rehab, but you have a probation officer, and you go to court, and it was a 2-year thing. And the idea of having a felony on my record for the rest of my life was what kicked me into gear, because nobody wants that. So I took this program and went through it and graduated, and then everything on my record was expunged. So it's like it doesn't exist.
That's amazing. Good.
It was really fantastic, and they work so hard to help first-time drug offenders, and it was saved my life, which is great.
Good.
And so then that was when I got clean. That was July of 2010. And then I went on a bunch of adventures, met my husband, and didn't start writing and didn't know about my ADHD until years later.
Okay. And how long were you using for?
About 2.5 years.
Okay.
So it was, yeah.
Yeah. And what made you go to the, like, before you got arrested, the recovery program? What made you go to that?
Well, I'd been abusing my body for so long, that I went into the hospital. So I, wasn't from an overdose. It was from me having burned out a quarter of my lungs, and my oxygen was at 67%. Yeah, I was also smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day. It's just not not anything I would recommend for anyone.
Yes, another disclaimer. Don't do that.
Yes,
either.
no, don't do those. And so I was in really bad shape, and I spent 5 days in the hospital. And then, I was approached by the family to say, you need help and we want you to go to rehab. And I went, okay.
Okay, so they sort of did like a little intervention for you then.
Yeah, and I just was like, whatever. That was my whole attitude at the time about everything.
Yeah, you weren't ready to change yet, but they were ready for you to change.
And that's why it didn't work.
Yeah, yep. I think that's a big thing. So in college, I had to do a placement for my program, and I did it at a drug and alcohol recovery house.
Oh, cool.
And that was one of the biggest things, because some of the guys had been in and out of there multiple times. Mm-hmm. And the ones that had done that would talk to the new guys and say, look, unless you're ready for this, it's not going to stick. So stop pissing around.
Right.
And be ready or give the bed up to somebody else. Right?
Exactly.
I'm from Canada, so everything's OHIP covered. So we only have X amount of beds, and if we're full, we're full. We can't take anybody else, right? So it's one of those things that some of the guys that had been through it, they're like, hey, I took a bed from somebody. I feel bad about that now, but now I'm ready to change.
Yeah, I'm coming back. Yeah, which is good. Sometimes it takes multiple times.
It does, exactly. That was one of the biggest lessons that I learned from going through my school programs and then talking to them, is that the road to recovery is not a straight line.
Oh no.
you fall off the wagon, you go and use again. Then you try to get clean again. You fall off the wagon, you use, you get clean again. And it's eventually you hit that, most of them call it rock bottom. So for you, that felony charge potential.
Yeah.
It was yours, which is great because at least you found it fairly quickly. There's some people that I know that I'm hoping that they'll find theirs soon.
I know. Yeah, I was lucky that it didn't take me very long. Yeah. Maybe I was just on a, really fast track.
Yes.
I went hard.
It sounds like you're doing way better now, so that's good.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
You're welcome. So you said that you started using when you were in college. Did you end up finishing college?
No, and I started using before I graduated high school. So there's, all the periods in there. Yeah. I did not graduate college. I had a year left. And then I had to go to rehab. So I had to withdraw and I never went back. And so that was, it was always kind of in the back of my mind of like, this is something I want to go back and do because I never finished. And like, why? Then I met my husband and we moved around and I found myself on the road to doing what I need to do now. And I work for myself and I work from home and I'm writing way more than I would have been if I stayed to get my PhD and to teach.
It's true. So maybe that was for the best.
It was like all the things that have happened. I don't regret any of them happening because I am where I am now. And I have learned how to go through things like that and help other people, hopefully, if I can.
Yes. So I don't know if you still have cravings or anything like that, but definitely when you first got clean, I'm sure that you had lots of cravings. How did you deal with those?
I was in 12-step programs. So there were points where I would go to 3 meetings a day. And when I had gotten arrested and then started this whole recovery thing, I was in a completely brand new town. I didn't know anyone. I was court ordered to move there because that was where I had gotten arrested, and I live an hour and a half away, so I had to move there. So it was like completely brand new. Fortunately, I didn't have like the temptation of going to spend time with all the other people that I had been spending time with when I was using.
Yeah.
But then also, if I really had wanted to, I could have found whatever I want, but I didn't. So I poured myself into these 12-step programs, and I was living in a sobriety house for the first 6 months, I think. And I was just surrounded by people who, for the most part, wanted the same thing I did.
Which is helpful, yeah.
Yes, it is. And who also understands, what it's like to be an addict or an alcoholic and to struggle with this and to try to get out of it,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was probably, really the only thing that comes to mind beyond. No, I wasn't even working out then. No, that's what I did. I went to a meeting. It was the only thing that helped. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So
Yeah.
what would you tell somebody right now who is struggling with their own addictions? What would you tell them?
I would say go to a 12-step meeting and just
there you go.
Try it, right? Surround yourself with people who understand. I think, one of the hardest things about being in active addiction, whatever it happens to be, it doesn't even have to be a substance, is, feeling like nobody else gets it. That's one of the things they talk about in those 12-step programs is that the drinking or the drug use or whatever happens to be is just a symptom of, disease and mental illness of addiction. And so that's what, it's underneath all of it. It's not about what you're doing. It's about why you feel like this is the only thing that can help you and working through that. So, I got tons of free therapy in those 12-step meetings.
That's good.
Yeah, no.
Very pricey.
I would say that was probably the first thing, or if you, they have virtual meetings for all those now anyway, so they are available for most people. Yeah, they are. And beyond that, find someone to talk to. Mm-hmm. If you don't have anyone to talk to, there's, I have discovered that people, maybe not so much family, because they have skin in the game when their loved one is really going through this.
Yeah.
But I found that most other people in most other professional capacities, really anywhere, are very, very open and supportive of, oh my gosh, this is something that you're struggling with. Okay, is there anything I can do to help? Or I'm just here to listen. Or do you need resources? I know people. And that was actually very surprising because no one ever expects that to come from, others around you. So, you never know in reaching out. And I was very lucky to have a lot of people in my corner.
That's fabulous. Yeah, it's really, really good advice. My cat is here being a little turkey.
Wonderful.
Hi, baby. So where can people find your books?
Yeah. My website is kathrinhutsonfiction.com. About half of my books are available as ebooks, across the board. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, Kobo. And then some of them are in Kindle Unlimited, so they're just on Amazon. But all of my paperbacks can be found at all of those places, wherever good books are sold. And then, did you want my social media stuff?
Yeah, that was going to be my next
question.
Going into the spiel? Where can people follow you?
They're always meshed together.
Oh,
yeah. Facebook. I'm on Facebook at Kathrin Hutson Fiction and Instagram at Kathrin Hutson Fiction and on Twitter at Exquisitely Dark. And I can also be emailed. I love emails at author@kathrinhutsonfiction.com.
Excellent. And I will put all of the links down below in the description so you can give Kathrin some likes and follows and emails because she loves getting them.
Hey.
Is there any last things that you want people to know?
I said all the things. Put them out there.
You said a lot of things. There was a lot of things.
I do that.
Me too. That's all right. I had fun. So thank you so much for being on the show. I am so happy to have had you.
Thank you for having me. This is a really great time.
I hope you all enjoyed the show. Kathrin gave some amazing tips. And yeah, go and talk to somebody. That is a recurring theme here on the show, right? Go and talk to somebody. Find support outside of yourself. And remember, the only way that we can end the stigma of mental health is to speak honestly and openly. Hit that like and subscribe button down below. Make sure you check out the description for all of Kathrin's links. And I will talk to everybody next time. Bye!